The 2-1. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam! And Lindor puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season for New York.
3-second differential. Shot clock, game clock. Shot clock down to 5. Here's Towns from 3. It's good! Karl Anthony Towns with the dagger. 3-point field goal.
Next to gain their composure. Towns, deep 3 ball with the switch.
What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Is your host David, and I'm here with another video, and I'm gonna get straight to it. We're gonna react and give our opinions on the Mets Hop Stove live on SNY as they interview certain players like Juan Soto, Holmes, and certain questions that they ask about them joining the Mets and stuff like that. It is starting right now, so I'm gonna get straight to it. I'm gonna play it, and I will give my opinions as the video goes.
We faced each other a few times. I caught you very young in career, so our numbers are okay. Did that play a factor that you wanted to come outshine me now again?
No. We cool.
Good.
Everything's staying there. Everything's staying on the line. Perfect. We cool.
I have a baseball specific question for you. I heard you say that you really want to continue improving your game. I mean, your offensive game has been spectacular. I don't know what you do to continue to improve on that, but you said you wanted to work on defense and base running and things like that. If you had to pick one thing that you really want to concentrate on improving, taking a step up on it, what would it be?
It would have been my defense. Like I said before, my defense. It's. I want to take my defense to a different level. Definitely, I know it's gonna be hard, but I want to take my defense all the way at the level of my bat. So I want to be a complete hitter and defensive players and a guy who can run the base as well too. So I want to do everything on the field to help the team. So right now, but one thing that I can focus the most is my defense.
Would you rather win a batting title or a Gold Glove?
That's really cool, friend. Really good.
I already have a batting title. I want to go glove.
I love that. What about Pete Alonso being back here? I heard you talk about the importance of having him in that lineup. How does it change things for not just you, but for the entire lineup?
I think it's great for the whole team. We have more balance. We have more power now. He's a guy who can hit the ball out in every ballpark, in every count. So I'm excited for him and to see what he's going to do this year. I think it's going to be a huge year for him and for the team. So it was massive sign.
Plate discipline. It's another thing that obviously is a big part of your game. It's something you had at 19 years old when you got to the big leagues. Is it something you worked on as a kid? Is it something that just comes naturally? You see the baseball slow it down? How have you gotten so good with your plate discipline?
Working every year, every day. I'm coming to the cage. I started working on my eyes. And nothing comes from nothing. You got to work. Like if you want to do it, you have to work on it. And I think since I was a young guy coming up to through the minor league system, I was a free swinger. I was swinging at everything. Really? I was trying to put the ball in play. So my coaches told me to start taking pitches, start swinging more strikes, and little by little we were getting better than that. And this is how we get all the way up here.
Who did you love watching growing up? And did you pattern your style or swing after anybody that you loved growing up?
Manny Ramirez was one of the guys I always watched, and it was fun to see his swing and everything. Robinson Cano too, he was one of the guys I always follow, and because we lefties and how smooth his swing was. So I think that's one of the things.
I love it.
What's it like for you to build a relationship with a manager, Carlos Mendoza? You were with him down in the Dominican not too long ago, and now you're with him here in camp. What's that like for you? What's that process like for you?
It's gonna take time. It's not only with the manager, but with the whole team. It's gonna take a little bit of time, get to know each other, get to see who they are, and they get to see who I am too. So I think it's gonna be a little bit, but I think it's gonna be fine whenever we both get along together and we start talking and we can start realizing how great is life.
Good. Well, I wanted to ask you, so the pitch clock kind of ate into what your signature, like the Soto shuffle, when you're locked in, you take a good pitch, you like to show it off. The pitch clock kind of tamed that a little bit. Have you found a way to incorporate that back into the game now?
I'm trying. Definitely the pitch clock got you thinking, because right when you do it and then you come back up, it's already in 9 seconds, so you gotta go in. But I'm gonna start working on it. You know, it takes time to figure out the timings and everything, and how you're working with the time. But it's one of the things I will never change. I've been doing it since I was in the minor leagues, and I was just a way to remind myself that my confidence, and I'm right there, and I'm ready to go every time. So I won't change anything.
I know we all feel it. The fan base feels it. We're thrilled to have you here. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Juan.
It is Juan Soto joining us here on Mets Hot Stove. Just getting going here on the show. When we come back, Jesse Winker is going to join us here on the set. He'll discuss his relationship with Mets fans. And also, Pete Alonso is going to drop by as well. He'll discuss his quest to become the all-time home runs leader in Mets history. That's just ahead. Back in a gym.
Mets Hot Stove on SNY is.
So again, I won't show any of the commercials as of right now, but just to kind of get everybody's thing going, that's dope for me to hear. I think that's a dope thing. Shout out to Juan Soto for that. You know, a lot of it pertains when it comes to Juan Soto. A lot of it comes down to what he can do on the field, his mentality, his IQ, what he's going to provide. Obviously, we know what he's an offensive power threat. Like I don't ever question what he could do as a hitter. It's mostly how he can cover right field on a consistent basis, what he can do to help the Mets in that range, in that realm, because of the fact that everybody talks about how big of a liability he is defensively. So to me, it's more about how he can help that, and how he can help the Mets within that. But again, I'm stoked to have him. Y'all saw how good he looks in that jersey, man. I saw pictures of him yesterday and today, and I was just like, dude, he looks fucking fantastic. He looks amazing. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how he's gonna do this, how he's gonna be able to break everything down. And hopefully, you know, at the end of the day, he it works to his ability. So yeah, man, let's see what he does in spring training, and then when opening day starts, let's see how that affects him. All right, guys. Well, they got Jesse Winker up there, so let's hear what he has to say. Let's check this out.
And just ready to do whatever has to be.
What's the challenge as somebody who likes to play the field? What's the challenge to be a DH?
Honestly, it's really I just try to put together good ABs, whether I'm playing the field or DHing. I try, like, obviously playing the field, you have a responsibility on the defensive side as well, clearly. And then when I'm in the field, you're focused on that. And when you're at the plate, you're focused on hitting. I try not to think along those lines. I want to help our team win. So whatever I have to do that, I'm gonna try my best.
You had such a positive impact when you got here last year, and big part of the run to the postseason, to the National League Championship Series. And I'm not sure anybody had more fun than you did. I remember seeing you in the clubhouse during a couple of the celebrations, just soaking it in. What was the experience like, and how do you take that into this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable experience. From the second I got traded, the guys in the clubhouse, they made me feel like I'd been there all year, which I'm extremely, thankful for. Not only that, but my family as well. It was just amazing to be a part of. Like, as a player, you just want to play in important games, and you want to play in the playoffs. And yeah, there was a lot of times where I was just kind of standing there. I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, I can't believe we just we won the wild card series, and then we won the DS, and then, at that point, I remember sitting on the grass at Dodger Stadium thinking, you're 4 wins away from the World Series. It's like, those things as a player, it's not easy to get to that moment. And, they're very special because you never know the next time you'll be there. So I just tried to stay in that moment, and, same kind of mentality where whatever was asked of me, just try to help the team win.
The fans have embraced you in New York City. Met fans have embraced you after what was a little bit of a tumultuous back and forth in a fun way when you were a visiting player. But that relationship with the fan base, how important is that to you?
It means a ton, because obviously, like you said, I've been a visiting player, and I've experienced how, how big of a challenge it can be coming into the Citi Field. And then, you flip that around and having them, behind us as a team, it's they carried us.
Yeah.
They really did, and they made coming to Citi Field not a fun place to play for opposing teams.
Sure.
And they made it for us an amazing experience. It's incredible to have their support day in and day out, and we're going to need them again, man. It's going to be one of those things that we're going to need them all throughout the year, and they're going to carry us again.
You always seem to have fun, right? When you were a visiting player, was it always in good nature?
Well, of course. I understand their passion. They're a very passionate bunch. I have a ton of respect for New Yorkers. It's they care about their teams, and it was just fun. It was very fun to experience, and then like coming full circle, now I get to wear a Met uniform. It's been an incredible ride, and I'm extremely grateful for all the fans that support us.
And pretty nice to see Juan Soto inside that clubhouse and Pete Alonso back.
Yeah, man, of course. They're both great players. They're outstanding people, and it's cool. I've known Pete for a really long time, but it's been cool getting to know Juan, and he seems awesome.
Yeah, Jesse, thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
When we come back here on Mets Hot Stove, Jerry Plevin's going to sit down with Sean Manaea. They're going to go over pitching grips and discuss what changed for Sean in the second half of last season. That's just ahead. We're coming right back.
Okay. Shout out to Shane Sons and shout out to Keith for being the very first ones that made the comparison between Sean Manaea and Roman Reigns. Man, a lot of people have been putting those comparisons recently, man, and not really showing love. Those guys before anybody was making those comparisons. Keith from Shane Sons in general, because also his brother Key, who is also the co-host of Shane Sons, was making those comparisons. So the fact that guys are now kind of putting that together and trying to make it seem like they're the ones making those comparisons, to me, that's a ripoff. That's disrespectful because you're taking somebody else's idea who nobody else in Mets fandom in general was making those comparisons. He was. So that should definitely be given credit to him. My brother, shout out to you. Shout out to Shane Sons, man. You guys are doing phenomenal work. Shout out to Queens Baseball, as you guys see right here. I have it right here in the bottom, right? Queens Baseball, we represent Mets Twitter. Shout out to the accountant. Shout out to Pope. Shout out to Keith himself. Shout out to my guys AP and Chris, who are always in those spaces as well. We run 7 Express podcasts. For those of you that know and that do watch us, we have content coming for you guys shortly. But those guys run an amazing space, man. Those are my guys. We part of that. Shout out to Queens Baseball, man. Follow us. Follow for daily Queens Baseball spaces, man. But Jesse Winker, always on top, always showing love, man. And I think when you get to that situation with Jesse, I'll get back to the Jesse thing in a second. They're kind of back right now as we go. But yeah, man, that situation with Jesse, man, that's a situation, man, that's very interesting to say the least. Because of the fact that when you're talking about a situation, right, where now that Marte's here, right? Because they don't know what they're doing with Marte. Obviously, we've seen reports that Marte might be traded. They were trying to look for a trade situation for Marte. They really couldn't find any. So now you're in a situation where who's gonna be DHing for most of the time, right? Because you have Brandon Nimmo at left field, you have Jose Siri at center field, and then you have Juan Soto at right field. Those are your primary 3 outfielders, right? So who's going to be DHing for most of the time? Is it going to be Jesse Winker for lefty for a righty matchup, and then is it going to be Starling Marte for a lefty matchup? We don't know. We don't know how that's going to work. We're also remembering Tyrone Taylor's there. We don't know how that shit's going to work. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how Carlos Mendoza puts that together. But we are back. They are back, and they're going to interview Sean Manaea. Let me get you guys to that.
Sean Manaea dealing 7 brilliant innings. Well, that's 10 strikeouts for Manaea. Make it 11. Season high for Manaea. 7 scoreless innings for the big left-hander.
We're going to look at Sean Manaea, signed that 3-year, $75 million deal during the offseason to return atop the Mets rotation alongside Kodai Senga. He's going to be so important for this Mets team moving forward as we get a look at the lowest average against amongst National League starters after the All-Star break. It is presented by Northwell, and Sean Manaea had a 185 opponent's batting average, best in the league, better than both Dylan Cease and Zach Wheeler. So he was off the charts, especially in that second half. So what was the big difference? We know about him dropping the arm angle, but let's get more from Sean on what he did so well in the second half. He had a chance to sit down with our Jerry Blevins.
For me, what I saw in watching you last year was you get comfortable with your delivery, your arm slot, and then that kind of catapulted you. You had an incredible second half. You had a good first half, but your second half was one of the reasons that the team last year was so special and made that run, because you stepped up into that ace role. Have you thought about that change that you made? First of all, the athleticism that it takes. I know pitchers get a hard time, but to do that kind of a change, I can't be overstated how difficult that is to make a change like that. But for you, was it a something of comfort after making that change?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the comfortability thing. For me, I feel like for the longest time, I've always been like fighting myself. I've always been like, worrying about where my arm was going to be in space and throughout the delivery, and kind of as I'm releasing the ball, do I need to I got to be here, and like the finger pressure and all these like different things that are pretty counterintuitive when you're trying to get guys out at the plate. And when I made that change, it's like something clicked, and like just everything kind of evaporated. All the worries, all these different things. It was like, all right, if I do this just one thing, if I can just get my arm into this position, everything else will take care of itself.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you worked on individual pitches at Driveline?
Yeah, I mean, so for my fastball, I mean, it's pretty standard. I hold everything pretty loosely. So
do you go horseshoe on the outside of your hand there? Yeah. Is that your forcing grip?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I was kind of toying around with tucking my thumb, fingers pretty close together. So for me, it's just a comfortable kind of like that.
So you're pretty kind of out there. Is there a space? Oh no, you get it down. You have big hands, so it's hard for you to kind of really get deep.
So this is the only thing that I'm I'll just grip this and throw, and then metrically, right? Kind of a bigger plot on track and stuff. But I'm not too worried about it. It's did I get the job done? And then the changeup is pretty basic. I'm really just trying to throw it off my middle finger. And trying to do that seam shift.
Yeah,
the seam shift weight phenomenon. And
he has his finger.
Yeah, so
you throw it off your middle finger. Are you trying to let it go this way, or are you trying to cut it a little bit?
That's
the new age, this, the kick change.
Exactly. And I think what the kick change does is really instead of all right, I gotta in space and time, all right, I gotta cock my wrist like that and then cut it. I think what that kick change does is really just throw it and then just throw it hard.
Good.
Let it work. So that's the philosophy I take with everything. It's just I simplify this to where I'm just gripping it and then just throwing it hard.
Did you have any issue with lowering your arm angle, understanding the shape of the pitch on a consistent basis, or getting that feel? Because it's for comfort. I could never throw that true circle change on this side because the ball, I never trusted that it would come out. So I would squeeze it too hard and drop it. And so I ended up finding a grip that felt comfortable to me, and I would circle underneath, but it would do the same thing so you can keep that arm speed, because it's really about deception. Whether or not it's 10, 12 mile an hour difference is a bonus, but it's really about just that depth that it gets and then that movement. So did you have to make any adjustments from your arm angle?
Once I started going down here, it was all right, how can I just get a little bit more separation? I think that's where my finger just kind of keeps creeping up,
Yeah.
And it just kind of took care of everything. So as long as the ball's spinning in the right direction, then.
So that's this way, correct?
Yeah, I want it to spin basically
as completely flat as you can.
9 o'clock spin axis.
Yeah. What are some of your larger scale goals that you want for yourself this season?
I mean, I just want to stay healthy and make all of my starts, help the team put myself in a position that I'm helping the team, do what we ultimately want to do, which is win a World Series. And if I can do those things every single day, I think good things will happen.
We've got more to get to here on Mets Hot Stove. When we come back, we are going to join by Pete Alonso, one of the biggest stories here in Mets camp. What was the biggest reason Pete decided to return to the Mets? And let us know when we come.
Pete Alonso coming up, that should be a good one. A lot of good questions that will be coming his way since he returned to the Mets. But Manaea showing a lot of what has been making him such a dominant pitcher since he's been here, since last year, and obviously what we're going to be accustomed to for the next 3 years, and kind of showing each pitch mix, where his fingers out within the ball, and how he adds a seam to it, you know what I'm saying, where he puts his fingers on the stitches and stuff like that. So there's a lot to look forward to. I'm glad that he was able to kind of show a little bit of what has been working for him, especially since he's had that drop that Chris Sale kind of showed him. It's been so effective for him. So shout out to him for that. Shout out to the tribal chief. Shout out to Manaea, earning himself a 3-year deal, $75 million contract. He's here for 3 years, man, and I can't wait to see what he has in store for us. But yeah, man, Pete Alonso coming up next. Well, Pete Alonso's up next, so let's take a listen.
Well, Pete Alonso, one of the biggest stories here in Mets camp. He's back on a 2-year, $54 million deal after what was a little bit of a trepidatious offseason when it came to Pete's future. But we are thrilled to have Pete with us here on the set here in Port St. Lucie. And, man, it is really good to see you back.
Never left.
I know. I like that. I like that. And I heard you say that, boy, we shouldn't believe what we're seeing in social media because there was so much out there on a daily basis that you say was not steeped in any fact.
I thought it was just kind of just having all the information and just kind of seeing what's out there. It's like, yeah, this is because kind of sitting back and watching it. I mean, for me, it's just like, oh, okay, all right, that's fake news. That's great. I mean,
yes. How big was the sit down with you and your agent, and then Steve and David Stearns to get this done?
I think, it's really it was a great gesture for them to come down, meet face to face, and I really appreciated that. And ultimately, what this came down to is like, this is the talent jumps off the page. This is the best opportunity to win. I mean, we have a phenomenal group here. I have a great relationship with teammates, coaches, staff, you name it. This is the best opportunity, not just like to win, but for me personally, because contractually, I think that this is going to be the best opportunity for me to jump into the next market. So it was a win-win, not just for myself, but I think the organization as well.
Todd,
you looking forward to hitting behind Juan Soto? Obviously, I think anybody would say yes in that regard. But how do you think this lineup stacks up compared to any lineup you've ever been a part of right now?
Yeah, I think we have the talent for sure. Juan's obviously a great player, and it's just kind of weird because just playing against him for so many years and watching him do his thing, we're just so used to watching him having a game-changing swing or making a game-changing play. So it's nice that he's finally on our side, which is nice. But we just got to go out and prove it. All of us collectively, we know what our ceilings can be, and if we can just prove it every single day in the regular season, earn our right to get in the postseason and perform there. So that, sky's the limit, but got to earn it.
So last season, obviously a lot on the line all season long, and for you, there was a lot of talk about being a down year. You drove in your runs, you hit your home runs. Was there anything last season from an offensive standpoint, particularly, that you're like looking back on thinking, okay, I'm going to do better with this year. I'm going to work on something to improve the overall game coming into this season?
I think for me, I think I felt like a lot of times I was shooting a cannon out of a canoe, and I feel like my mechanics at the dish weren't necessarily as consistent as I'd like to be. And I feel like for me, it's like, man, why am I fouling this pitch off right down the middle? Like, I'm on it, timing's good, but man, why didn't I hit that? Or it's like, man, why didn't I hit that? I should have hit that harder. So it's like these tiny little things over the course of the season lead to like, for me, I call it a like shortcoming. So even though, yes, a lot of really good things happened last year, like, I won't take away what happened last year for the world, because did I have success? Yes. Did I perform and help my team in the postseason? Absolutely.
Yes.
And those memories, like with this team and the comeback and like the resilience we had, like I wouldn't change for the world.
Some great things happened. That home run in Milwaukee was like, come on,
unbelievable.
That's my favorite baseball moment of my life.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
It was special to watch. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your Mets legacy, Pete. It's very rare for somebody to wear one uniform for their entire career, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
Even a player of Juan Soto's caliber, this is his 4th uniform. You come back as a Met. From a legacy standpoint, you're on the verge of becoming the home run king for this franchise, something that I think you would have already done had the COVID season not happened. But where does that play into your overall view of yourself as a Mets legacy player, where you fit on Mount Rushmore? Does that mean as much, because it's so cool for me, does it mean as much to you as it might?
Well, I appreciate that about the comment about the COVID season. I appreciate that. And for me, like that's hitting homers, like I love to do it, and that's what I'm known for. And
probably super cool.
Yeah.
Nicely
to
played,
have that is really would be really special. To like when you grow up, you just really you're just worried about competing and getting to the next level, but to have a franchise record, that's really tough to wrap your mind around, because there's so many great players that have come through this organization. So it's, again, just got to get a pitch over the middle plate, capitalized in order to make that happen. But again, that's really tough to wrap my mind around. But it's such a high honor.
Pete, I've got to say, it's great to have you back. As I said at the outset, we're thrilled to have you spend some time with us here on Hot Stove. Thanks, man.
Oh, of course.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
It is the Polar Bear. It's Pete Alonso as we continue on here on Mets Hot Stove. When we come back, Todd's going to step into the batter's box with Mark Vientos, go through his routine, and also why he comes up so big in so many clutch moments. That's ahead. We're back in a moment from Florida.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Eric.
Well, at least you saw a lot from Pete Alonso in terms of him holding himself accountable, right? Wondering why he was missing certain pitches that he normally gets to, especially when he's on time. So there was a lot for Pete Alonso, but again, happy that the brother's here, happy that he's able to be on this run that we're trying to complete, especially after last year and what he did, and just get the show on the road, man. So we'll hear from Mark Vientos coming up next, and we'll keep this going. All right, guys, now we'll get up to Mark Vientos. Let's see what they ask him, and I'm sure they're gonna ask him a lot about the postseason. So let's see how that goes.
Established himself as one of the bright young stars in the game last season. In 454 plate appearances, he had 27 home runs and drove in 71 runs. He had a chance to spend some time in the batter's box with Todd Zeile to give us a little bit more insight to his emergence as a key cog on this Mets team.
When you first come up as a guy that had the kind of numbers that you had in the minor leagues, you've got big power, but it's hard to get out of trying to show that power, especially on the pull side. And earlier on, you were chasing a little bit more. I think you were a little more conscious on the pull side. And then a shift seemed to come during the season to where you really started concentrating on through the middle. Now, there's some thoughts that maybe JD had a little bit to do with some of that mindset. Talk us through what it's like knowing that you've got Pop to all fields, but maybe being a little out of sorts. And then what did he do or anybody do to help you feel more balanced staying through the middle of the field?
I think it was a big group of people that kind of just had to talk with me. I came up, I hit that walk-off home run, had like a little bit success for like the first couple weeks I was up. And then I started kind of like struggling for like a little stretch.
Yeah.
And luckily I have JD, my buddy right next to me on the airplane, kind of was showing him some video, talked to me, was telling me I was doing this and that. Obviously I have Chavi and Barnesy.
Yeah.
They also helped me out and kind of like pushed me with the mindset of staying up the middle, right center, Beltran, another one.
Beltran. I
And,
heard that he had some influence on that. He was one of the best in the world in both sides of the plate, so he never really had to worry about the ball going away from him like you do, but he always stayed through the middle of the field. One of the things that I recognized with you is when you slow it down, you made better swing decisions. You weren't afraid to hit the ball opposite field. You're not afraid to be jammed. So you talked about the cage work, and since we're out here and Chavez is the one that brought it up, he mentioned to me that one of the things that he thought was key for you was on the high ball, getting, and I'm from the left side, getting from this to this, essentially. And what do you call that? What do you consider that part of your swing?
With the high pitch, a lot of people get confused with you want to like get on top of the high fastball. I think more so with this pitch, I try to kind of like stay above it, but I kind of want to like drive it to like right center field, but with some lift. I'm not trying to hit like a ground ball or a line drive. I'm trying to lift the ball up.
Do you feel like you had to give anything up on the inside part of the plate to be able to really be able to handle, like you were able to handle the ball up and out over the plate?
I think a lot of the pitchers, especially at the highest level, have a hard time commanding that pitch inside. So me trying to drive the ball to right center field kind of made me stay away from the pitches that are that are off the plate. I think I have quick enough hands to adjust to a pitch that's in the zone on the inside part. So I could get away with, if they come in on me, having quick enough hands to drive it up the middle or drive it to left center field.
Got it.
So like that's just me trusting my hands. Obviously, you knowing yourself as a hitter is a big part of it. Like some hitters are dead pull hitters, and that works for them. Some people could go other way, and that works for them. It's kind of knowing yourself and knowing what works. And
describe yourself. Who are you as a hitter?
I drive the ball to gap, mostly right center field, and I have power to right center. So I usually hit the mistakes to left field.
You had success in big moments as well. Do you thrive on those moments? Have you always wanted to be the guy standing in the box when the game's on the line, when it's ninth inning, where you're going against a closer, when you've got a chance to win the game? Is that something you've always thrived on?
It's funny because I get goosebumps thinking about those moments. As a little kid, when you're growing up and watching baseball, you always think about the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, man on second, third base, winning run on second, and it's just, I live for those moments. Like that's what I live for. That's why I play this game. I play this game when the pressure's on, and I want the bat in my hands. I want to be in the box. I want to help my team as much as possible. It's just like, it's a fulfillment thing. Like that makes me feel fulfilled inside, and I just love being up to bat, or even a ground ball, even a crazy play in the hole. Like I just want to be the guy up to bat or gets a play.
That's a huge factor in making the transition at the big league level, because there's guys that get here that have always had success that are afraid of those moments. When you've got to embrace them, you got to want them, you got to anticipate them. You're a guy with big power, with a short, quick swing, a lot of exit velo, a lot of power in your swing. But I understand that maybe when you went into Philly or whatever, you had a conversation with a couple of guys that have done it for a long time successfully, that gave you a bit of advice. Let's hear what that advice was.
So this was 2 years ago, and Harper comes up to me and says, "Hey man, I love your swing. You're a great player." Kind of was just like talking to me, which was a cool moment. And he said, "Hey."
That's Bryce Harper, by the way, in case you guys didn't get that. Bryce Harper. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. And he told me, he's like, "Hey, you don't have to swing that hard." And that kind of stuck with me, because when you're in that moment and that energy, you just tend to swing 150%.
Yeah.
And it's not even 100%. So he was basically saying, "Hey, see ball, hit ball, don't try to swing too hard. 70% is going to be 100% for you."
Last year, magical year for the Mets.
Bryce Harper.
An amazing year for you. Do you feel like that
go,
last
man. Let's
year
go.
gave you enough confidence that you're not here trying to prove yourself?
It's a different spring training for sure, but I feel like it's the same mentality. I'm still trying to prove myself. I'm still going to have to prove myself in this level, because this level doesn't care about last year. Everybody forgets about last year. And I'm just coming in with a purpose. I'm going to work my butt off. I want to help my team as much as possible to get to the same situation we're in, get past that, make it to a World Series, win the World Series. That's the main goal. Like I said, I live for those moments. The playoffs was an awesome, awesome experience. It's like something I can't really explain. I'm working every day to get back to that spot.
All right, Todd and Mark, we thank you both for that. When we come back here, Francisco Alvarez going to let us know why he felt he struggled at the plate a season ago and what is going to look different for him in the box this season. We'll have that and more when we return here to Port St. Lucie after this.
This is going to be dope. So, yeah, you hear Mark Vientos there, right? In terms of some of the things that he was able to fix, how he was able to, get on top of the ball more, being able to utilize his quick hands and, the adjustments that he'll make when he gets pitches in the zone. So shout out to him for that. I can't wait to see a second year of Mark Vientos and how that turns out, man. He absolutely is right. He has a lot to prove still. This big leagues don't care about what you did for me last year. It's all about what you're doing for me now. So second year Mark Vientos, I hope, is even much better than what we saw last year. So man, shout out to him. Francisco Alvarez is next, and a lot to get to with him, man. So we'll enjoy that one.
So when you guys get as close as you did last year, how much more does that motivate you in the off season?
So motivate me a lot, but like give me that little bit I need for this year, for like give me that little bit extra. I have the work, like that extra for make the World Series and win the World Series, because I have that sensation like I want to win. I feel bad when you do all what we do last year. We coming by like 11 games under 500 and we made the playoffs, and we was like 2 games to go to the World Series, and we can't make it last year. But I want the goal this year because I think it's very important for me, and I want to win the World Series.
For you personally, what did you learn about yourself last year?
So I learned like the mental part. The mental part is very important. I think stay focused. Can happen whatever last day or the bat before, the pitch before, can happen whatever. Like we can stroke out 3 times in a row, but we got to think about next pitch. Like Jeremy Hefner, he was doing a meeting the other day, and he said that we got to think about the next pitch, next move. So it's what I think. I can hit a homer, but it's right on the pass. I got another bat coming. I got a next day coming. So I think that one is the more important. Like think about next pitch, next stop, next move.
I know you were in Atlanta doing a lot of work this offseason. JD Martinez recommended the place you went to, right? What specifically were you looking to improve upon offensively there?
I do a lot of adjustment. I changed my stand. I changed my swing. So it's going to look way different than last year and the years before. I think, like I said, the mental part is the more important. I got to believe what I do in the offseason. I got to believe everything I'm doing now. So I believe what I'm doing, and I feel way better.
I know last year at times we're talking about trying to pull the ball too often rather than just take the pitch the other way. How is the work you've done this offseason supposed to help so you can cover both sides of the plate better?
So like I said last year, I'm so quick. My hips are so quick. So I got thinking middle to the other way. So when the pitch come in, I can reaction, and my hips so quick, and my hands, I'm strong. So I have to forget about left field. I got to think more center field, right field, and I think that was very important to me in the batting practice, during the batting practice, in the cage when I do my work. Everything's going forward, everything's going to the other way. So I think that one can help me. The batting practice, when I'm hitting the cage, everything's very important to me. Thinking about the other way.
I know that defensively, being a leader, being a catcher, that means a lot to you. As you get to know some of the new pitchers, has anything stood out to you? Any of the new guys stood out to you where you said, oh, wow, this guy, he's got something I didn't realize he had?
So I think every guys we have in here, they are very important for our team. So, but when I'm catching the bullpen, when I'm catching the live now, I saw Clay Holmes the other day. He's nasty. It's real. It's real what he has. So just keep keep him in the zone.
That's the Clay Day homies.
That's it. And I think
shout out to Queens
the
Baseball.
other guys, I make a good relationship with the other guys, so I wanna keep building those relationships with my pitchers. It's very important to me.
All right, Steve and Francisco, we thank you both. And so right on cue, speaking about Clay Holmes, when we come back, the newest Mets starting pitcher is going to let us know how he's making the adjustment from the bullpen back to being a starting pitcher. We've got that and more on the other side of a quick break.
Clay Day, baby. Clay Day, man. That shout out to Clay Holmes for that. Shout out to Clay Holmes who will be coming up. As you heard with Francisco Alvarez, certain adjustments, right? Defensively, being able to stay on top of everything, relationships with his pitchers, building that chemistry. You heard what he saw you heard what he said about Clay Holmes. You heard him speak about just everything being mental, working on his mentality. I mean, that's not only on offense, but that's on defense as well as the catcher, right? You heard how he was how his swing was going to be different, and he credits JD Martinez, another player crediting JD Martinez. You know what I'm saying? Like, he may have struggled towards the end, but a lot of the key knowledge that he's dropping on with these young guys, it could definitely help, being the longtime veteran that he is. So I'm very excited to see what changes Francisco Alvarez has made because of how much he struggled last year, and defensively what he's added to his game defensively, because a lot of the things we've seen him struggle defensively were pass balls, not being able to block the balls a lot in front of the plate. So we'll definitely see what transitions he has made, and I'm sure a lot of knowledge has been spewed on him within Jeremy Hefner and the pitching and the pitching rotation. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Francisco Alvarez. But Clay Day is up next, and I'm sure a lot of y'all are interested or were interested in hearing what he's had to say since making the transition from the Yankees to the Mets and from a reliever to a starter. So we'll get into that. Well, guys, Clay Holmes is here. Let's take a look at let's hear what he has to say.
Man, it's been a great experience so far.
So one of the big stories surrounding you is that you're moving back to being a starting pitcher. You started a few games early in your career back in 2018, but tell us how big a transition that is.
I think the thing that was the most exciting about making this transition for me is that I was capable of kind of doing it with some things I already had. Okay. Obviously, I'm adding in a changeup and maybe adding in a little cutter or four seam. But I had a pitch mix where I believe I can get lefties and righties out, and like I said, I was tinkering with the changeup last year and believed I can do it, and I was kind of met with the opportunity. So it was really exciting for me. Obviously the pitching department here is really good with their pitching lab and, Hefner. And, it was just an opportunity that really excited me, and I couldn't pass it up.
All right. So you talk about the changeup, and we hear so much about the kick change, which is a little different spin on it. Can you explain to us exactly what the kick change is? And we have a baseball. So, Mark, if you want to throw that in. Yeah, show us exactly what the kick change is all about.
Definitely. So your typical, change-up grip, your fingers are laying flat on the ball. This is just a grip where you kind of spike up one of the fingers just so, supinators like myself, people that cut the ball, are able to basically kick the axis where it's spinning and get the same depth. Okay. I'm not a huge pronator. I kind of release the ball from a more supinated or cut position. So it really, the spike just kind of pushes the ball where it's spinning more sideways, and I get the depth. And, it's definitely more comfortable for me. And, I think that's the big thing with the changeup is just finding the comfort and really just don't like your fastball. And it's been nice to see the results here early so far.
So pronating and supinating, the arm goes one way when you pronate, one way when you supinate.
Yeah, I say, most pitchers have they're inclined to release the ball a certain way. Some people pronate through the ball and backspin it more. That's where you get the guys that really carry the ball. Or some people will have a more supinated or cut position where they don't have as much backspin, but they're able to move the ball side to side a little bit more. And so really it's just, I'm not totally on top of the ball. It's just more a little bit on the side or supinated. That allows my pitches to move, more east and west versus north and south.
So you've thrown about 60, 65 innings each of the last 3 years. So making this big jump innings-wise, how do you get your body ready for that?
Yeah, there's definitely, a little more conditioning and whatnot, but I really think that, your body can adjust and it can adapt in ways if done the right way. And, I think just really getting up to that, the pitch count is probably the hardest part. obviously the innings will stack up and making sure you're staying on top things in between innings. But for me, I believe once I get to that mark, that's kind of really, the challenge, just to let your body feel it.
Yeah.
And then, there's a lot of great resources around here, to kind of keep me, going during the season. And so I don't really anticipate, having to put any type of innings limit on it. It's one of those things where it's just going to lean on the training staff, lean on the resources we have around here. And as long as I'm staying strong, then, I'm going to keep rolling.
And you're starting the Grapefruit League opener on Saturday. What do you think? three ups? Is that the plan?
I think that's the plan for right now. Yeah, 3 ups. Just kind of feel that the game action, game speed, and start to get the ups underneath me to let the body kind of adjust and feel that. And yeah, I'm excited. It's been I think since 2019 spring training since I've started the game. So man, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna enjoy it. This is what I've been wanting. So I'm super excited to be out there.
We are looking really forward to seeing you out there. Thanks, Clay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It is Clay Holmes joining us here on Mets Hot Stove, and so that is going to wrap up our.
Yes, sir. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A couple interviews from a couple key players on Mets Hot Stove, man. We heard from Juan Soto, we heard from Mark Vientos, Pete Alonso, Jesse Winker, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea. Just a lot of insights on what makes them so effective from the mound or from the plate. They're showing Mets yearbook. But what also can keep them effective going into the season. I do appreciate you guys tuning into this video. I kind of wanted to just give you guys a little glance at that and my opinion on the guys that they interview and certain details that they pull out. So shout out to those guys. Shout out to the New York Mets. And keep in mind, we play the Grapefruit League on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Clay Holmes will be starting. So shout out to the Clay Day, man. And appreciate y'all, man. I will catch y'all on the next video. It's your boy David, and I am out. Peace out. Let's go Mets.